Hello, welcome to Stew Maker. I'm Stu, and I like to make things. And welcome to the channel. It's been a while. I haven't uploaded a lot, changed the name, did a whole bunch of things. I was supposed to do a whole lot more, but you know, a lot of things got in the way. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the video, because this is a tutorial for my game that I created. Now, game development videos are kind of dime a dozen on the internet. You look, there's like a billion of them, and there's a bunch of card games too, I guess. But you know, why is mine specifically different than a lot of other people's? What you need to know in my game is that there's 4 types of cards. These are the big archetypes. Generally, every card is going to be funneled into one of these 4 buckets. You got your persona cards, you got your mask cards, you got your fate cards, and you got your nemesis cards. Keep that in mind. Some of these do share similar isms with each other. So in this one, we're going to be talking about mask and persona cards. Now, what is a mask and what is persona card? I'll probably have like I don't know, a model of this somewhere, so you guys can look at the card and just see, ooh, beautiful card, you know, kind of thing. Or not, maybe, who knows, I don't know, you know, I don't know these things. But what I do know is that the mask cards and the persona cards are basically that. Just think of it as there is a standard character that can be upgraded into a higher tier, in which we call masked up. So you have an identity card, which is the persona card, right? Now, some of these will have effects, some of them won't have effects, and you'll generally know this by the little text box, the mixed case lettering. That means it's just like a little fun little tidbit about the character, just something a little funny that I decided to put into it. But if it's all caps, that usually means that there's an effect involved. That is the easiest way to distinguish what is that. So, you know, don't feel too hard if you're like, oh, what is this? Because I created the font. I know. I guess it's gotten on me about the font, which, you know, I get, but I don't know, I just don't feel like using other people's fonts. I like my font, it's fun, it's a little bit quirky, you know, that's the difference between a regular card and, you know, an effect card versus not effect card. And so the first thing you'll notice about the mask and persona cards is they have 2 different colorways. The persona cards are generally black and gray and white, while the mask cards are generally like gold, yellow, orange-ish. So let's get to persona cards, the cards that you will be upgrading from. The first thing to know about the mask and persona archetypes is there is a sub-archetype, or subtype, I guess. Generally 5 of them. You got yourself the monarch, you got yourself the conscript, you got yourself the philosopher, you got yourself an enthusiast, and you got the outcast. In the game right now, we don't really take advantage of it just yet, but it's definitely something I'm going to try to continue and play with on all that stuff. The reason why I had it is because I already built a whole deck system going, and the decks that I had built were built a certain way, and I had those cards already done, and none of them actually really took advantage of the new. So the 5 subtypes it's more of a newer thing, but I feel like it really tells you something about the card's personality. So like, let's say Sam Joko, he is in the conscript subcategory, and his secret identity is Sung Junho, and he's in the conscript. You know, they're both conscript. And what I find funny about that is just like that's generally his mindset. He's kind of more of like the, you know, rough and tough kind of guy, a little bit more warrior-esque than some of the other characters. And that's like a good way just to talk personality-wise, where they are, but also what they can do. I'm working currently on special abilities like little passives that each card gets. I think right now the conscript is and this might change, so I'll do a video specifically on the subcategories just so we can get that going through. But for right now, for me, I think what would be cool for the conscripts is they can always attack no matter what mode they're in. If they're injured, they're not injured, if they're on the neutral zone, and which we'll talk about later, things like that. And so those are the subcategories. The way you'll generally know the difference between them is the art. Easiest way to see that. The second easiest way, because I wanted to make it super easy, and so like when you're looking at the card, you can definitely see right off the jump what card you're looking at, is on the scroll. So there's a scroll with like a little text box and everything. You got basically saying if it's mask, persona, nemesis, fate, that's usually what that'll be. It'll even be color coded. Gray for persona, orange for mask. And then on the other side of the scroll will be what specific subcategory this card is, so whether it's conscript, philosopher, just so it's easy to see what is going on and how that's being processed. So, you know, I try to make it more available to everyone who can and wants to play the game. So if like you're colorblind, you're not colorblind, you know, things like that, or you have a hard time reading, well, there you go, you can see right there on the card. Just really good for me, and that was something I worked on very hard, because a lot of the iterations of the cards I'd come up with different things, and they didn't have all this stuff. So it's nice that it now does have that, and it feels fantastic. Okay, To continue the Persona cards, if you look, and this is like the true case for like most cards, there's 2 golden or silver boxes at the top and the bottom. They look like little tickets. They'll usually have numbers in them, and that is basically, I mean, what do you think it is? It's the strength of the character and how strong they are, what they can do, what they can't do. You know, if you fight someone who's stronger than you, then it's like obviously you're going to lose that match. But you know, maybe that's what you want to happen. You know, I don't know. I don't know your life. Yeah, but that's the general idea. That's how strong they are. And one of the fun things is if you look at the bottom, it's upside down. So what's that all about? So in my game, when you battle and you lose a fight, you don't just get sent to the graveyard. You don't just destroy that card. The first thing that happens is the card gets injured. And what you want to do is you want to take the card and you flip it over. You flip it around. You flip it. And then now on the bottom, that's your new strength number and what you will go by. You can't attack generally while you're injured. You can't move while you're injured. So that's definitely something you're going to have to really pay attention to. But we'll get on that when we talk about the specific rules of the game. Right now, we're just talking about the cards. But yeah, that's basically what that means. Otherwise, that's pretty much all the card has. I mean, the card art, you know, very prominent. That was a really fun design choice. I worked on a bunch of different ones, and I don't know. I know there's like the standard box that everyone has, but I wanted the card game to be a little bit more like a little fun, a little bit more diegetic. So now here's the thing about design-wise, if you guys don't know. There's a thing called diegetic and non-diegetic. In filmmaking, this basically refers to things that exist within the film world and outside of it. So like, let's say you're watching a movie, right? And there's music playing, you know, the score of the film. The characters generally don't hear that music, right? That's non-diegetic. Versus like some movie like Baby Driver, where Baby Drivers literally listen to the music that the audience is listening to. That would be more diegetic. So that is, in essence, what that means. And how does this translate to design? It translates to design in a few different ways. If you played the game Dead Space, or any game that tries to implement the HUD system of any kind, like your health, your ammo count, in the game design itself, in the world itself, I'd say that's more diegetic versus non-diegetic. In my game, I wanted everything to feel like it has its own material, its own weight, its own substance in a way, and so the golden tickets at the top and the bottom, you know, or the tickets or whatever, is a diegetic way of showing that, of like your strength and all that stuff you can do, while the window is kind of like this like mosaic, and it reminds me of like a cathedral in a way of like looking into the world of the characters, and the scroll at the bottom is a scroll because it's just like, here's everything you need to know about the character, and that's the design I wanted to go for. So that's generally how those break down. So to recap, there's archetypes, there's masks, and there's personas. Personas are generally the secret identities of the main characters that are then upgraded or masked up into the mask cards. So let's talk about the mask cards. Mask cards are pretty fun. They're roughly similar to the Persona cards, other than a few differences. Most of them, I think like 100% of them have effects of some sorts. Effects you can only usually use like once per turn kind of thing, and that's fun. You know, that's really fun. Now, why would you want to upgrade this card? Well, one thing is that they're generally stronger than the Persona cards, both effects wise and, you know, strength. And it's really cool. The thing that is really fun for me right now is the fact that the mask cards can really only be upgraded by specific characters. So if you read the card, they'll usually say must be upgraded from or must be masked up from XYZ character. And that's basically kind of the end all be all. If you don't have the right requirements, then this card's not going to be able to be used. So that's definitely something you're going to have to think about when you're playing the game, and how many cards you get, all that stuff, you know, all good and well. Otherwise, it's the same thing almost. It's just different effects, generally stronger, and you're gonna want them on your field, because man, these guys are pretty sick. I genuinely do really like the mask cards. I think they're so cool, and I'm working on potentially a third type of card. I won't say too much. It was originally in the guard game a while back before, but I kind of like took it back a little bit because I wanted to focus on the core gameplays. But there's some more stuff I'm brewing up about the game and all that stuff. So definitely do stick around. So definitely do stick around. Keep tabs on this. I'll have more tutorials where I talk about all the cards. Those are the Mask and Persona cards. There you go. Oh, I probably should talk about the Nemesis cards. I'll talk about them in another video. Yeah, you'll see. Later.